Batman was directed by Matt Reeves and it sees Robert Pattinson in the title role of the Batman. This movie also stars Zoe Kravitz, John Turturro, an unrecognisable Colin Farrell, Andy Serkis and Jeffrey Wright. In this movie, we see Batman on the trail of a sadistic killer known as the Riddler, who is murdering some of Gotham's elite, and there is an ulterior motive as to why these murders are taking place. And it is up to Batman, along with Jim Gordon, to locate the killer and to bring him to justice. As always guys, before we go any further, I want you to hit that subscribe button so you can follow this channel, hit the alarm bell as well so you get notifications when the video is going to be uploaded, and give this video a like as well. I was actually skeptical when the Batman was going to be released, purely because Christopher Nolan had did it so well with his trilogy. He reinvigorated the franchise, he made the Batman movies in a way that Bob Kane had envisioned them, and more importantly than that, many of the themes that were captured in the Batman films were relatable to today's times. So I was a bit skeptical in terms of what Matt Reeves was going to do with this movie. The Batman draws inspiration from The Long Halloween and also A Dark Victory, in which you see Batman on the trail of a serial killer. When you see this movie, you can see references to other serial killer movies, such as Zodiac and in particular Seven. Having seen this film, it is one of the most ambitious Batman movies ever. It is very bleak, it is very gothic, and I like the fact that you can see that they drew inspiration from 2019's Joker. In fact, you can also say that the Batman could be somewhat of a pseudo-sequel or almost a continuation of that narrative. Just in terms of how bleak it is, just in terms of how gritty it is. I was skeptical because I read reports that this movie may be a PG or a 12, and I'm like, well, you know what? Christopher Nolan's movies were very dark and gothic as well. So will it keep to that nature? I can honestly say that it did. I like the fact that this film is a more slow-burning Batman film. It's not as action-packed as previous installments, but entertaining nonetheless. And it does things differently that other Batman films have not. In particular, we get a voiceover from Bruce Wayne, which we've never had before. I like the fact that we got to see more of the Batcave. We didn't see that in Christopher Nolan's trilogy, but we saw it in Tim Burton's first two installments of Batman. The Batman also focuses on the detective element of Batman. Because, I mean, he's always been coined as the world's greatest detective. And I personally think that's Columbo. But the Batman, we actually see him demonstrate his investigative skills rather than his vigilante skills. And just to see him work in tandem with Jim Gordon, I thought that was really good. And I really do hope that we get to see a Batman where we actually get to see him work with Robin and see a real dark iteration of Robin. That I cannot wait to see. And the last Batman release that I saw that showed Batman just as a detective and as a broken character was in Mask of the Phantasm, which was a brilliant cartoon and kept to the tone of Bob Kane's version of how he wanted Batman. The Batman is certainly more plot driven than anything else. It doesn't have that many action sequences. I mean, in the trailer you've seen the car chase between he and the Penguin, and there's a finale sequence, but that is it. And that will appeal to some. Performance-wise, I know that there was some skepticism regarding Robert Pattinson taking on the iconic role of Batman. But I'll tell you something now, that young man delivers. And unlike other previous installments of Batman, we get a more broken down Bruce Wayne. We get a more trauma-driven Bruce Wayne. And a more trauma-driven Batman. And it is unlike anything that we've seen in previous incarnations of Batman. And Robert Pattinson delivered this role with intensity. The same can be said for Zoe Kravitz. Michelle Pfeiffer has always been the best Catwoman. But Zoe Kravitz comes up as a near successor. She has very good screen time. She has great chemistry with Robert Pattinson. And she demonstrates great physicality. And I like the fact that we actually get to see this character demonstrate more martial arts and fighting skills, just in the same vein as Michelle Pfeiffer's character did in Batman Returns. Paul Danos as the Riddler. As a kid, there was always a version of the Riddler that I had in my mind. That was Frank Gorshin's eccentric character that we saw in the TV show. Then you had Batman the Animated Series Riddler, and then you had Jim Carrey version. And they all were very eccentric characters and they were all dressed in this green spandex suit. But in this film, they've thrown it out the window and they've given us a sadistic killer. And Paul Dano plays that character with great charm and great intensity. And this movie nods to The Dark Knight. There's one scene where the Riddler and Batman are face to face. And that reminded me of the same scene where Joker is finally captured and Batman and Joker have a conversation with one another. Jeffrey Wright, Andy Serkis, John Turturro all lend fine support. And there aren't any really weak characters or performances in this movie. But I do feel that every actor played their part. Colin Farrell is unrecognizable as the Penguin. And again, I grew up with Burgess Meredith as the Penguin. But in this version of Batman, the Penguin, you can almost say he's a cross between Al Capone and Tony Soprano. He was excellent. The makeup was excellent. It took me a while to realize, that's actually Colin Farrell. Set-wise, I think that this is the closest version to Gotham City that has ever been developed. And it fits the same tone as Tim Burton's and also with the first Batman Begins. But this film is beautifully shot. The editing, the cinematography in this movie is gorgeous. Just how it captures Gotham. And Michael Giacchino's score. He had his work cut out for him because for me, Danny Elfman will always have the mantle for the best musical score for a Batman film. Hans Zimmer, with Christopher Nolan's trilogy, he gave us another epic score. Michael Giacchino's score, it doesn't feel like it's Batman, but it complements to the tone of the movie. But the musical score by Michael Giacchino, it is incredibly beautiful and very haunting at the same time. But The Batman, a very ambitious film. Matt Reeves took that baton and he ran with it. And he gave us an epic movie, which is very, very dark. Pretty much 95% of this movie takes place in the dark. And there are some beautiful shots between Batman and Catwoman. But this movie was just brilliant. And at 3 hours, there were certain scenes that dragged, but I do feel there were certain scenes that could have been cut out. But as a movie, I loved it. It is a slow burning movie. But it is one of the best comic book movies around, and I think it's one of the best installments of Batman that we've ever seen. And I cannot wait to get this movie on DVD and watch it again. So this is a movie that I'll give a very strong 9 out of 10 to. So guys, that's my review. As always, thank you for watching. Please keep on watching because there'll be more reviews coming in the near future. I want you to hit that subscribe button so you can follow this channel. Hit the alarm bell as well so you get notifications when the video is going to be uploaded. Give this video a like as well. Leave your comment with whether you've actually seen The Batman and what do you think about it. And more important than that, what's your favourite scene from The Batman? Comment down below and I shall see you all in the next film review. Take care.